let's talk about working with constants. There is a constants folder in your project folder, and you can just take a look at this quick console application. You see that we're just creating a class called constants, and we're declaring const keyword here, public variables as an int, a string, but they're constants. Constants have a little bit of a difference than you might expect if you're coming from C++ and other types of programming languages. Now, what we're doing when we declare a constant is we're declaring a variable that's going to be fixed. You can't change it. You can't alter it. This value is fixed. It's constant. There you see the local variable. You can't change me. Once it's declared and assigned, you cannot change it. So it is great for specifying constants in your classes, and it helps because you may just want a particular static value and you don't want to use an enumerator or something like that, but you want to have this fixed. So this is how it's going to work. If you're coming from C++, the const keyword, you can't use this when you're qualifying your parameters in your method calls or your return values. So if you had return values from methods, you couldn't use a const there. So that's important to remember. And also remember that this constant is going to point to data at compile time. It's going to be computed at compile time. This is signaling that a constant member, as we're going to see later when we talk about objects and things like that, the constant member can't be assigned to an object reference because this is dealing with runtime. The constants are dealing with compile time. This is how you declare our constants on the basic level, working with basic types, just giving you a bit of advanced information. You give your variable name. I normally put a C in front of my little variable indicator there for an integer or string, CS, and a C on the outside signals that this is constant. So we initialize the variable to 5, and we also do the same thing for hello with our string. Later on, we can reference our constant in our main method here, and you can see that we have a local variable here as well, local constant, and we can just pass this to the console. So if we just go to the debug menu here, you can do start without debugging. This is just going to compile and present our console application. You can also control F5 to do that. Compile. If it's successful, then you see that we have our output right here in a console window. Our 5 is presented, hello is presented, and then our local variable is presented as well. So you can't change those values. Those are constants. There are more advanced ways of working with constants as far as when you're referring to a constant across your types. When you do that, when you refer to constants across different classes and things like that, you're going to have to fully qualify that constant, meaning that it would be referred to as constants dot and then your constant name, ci int. So we'll see that later on. So just to summarize, constants for the most part are they're static, they're fixed, you can't change them. You assign them once and then you use them. They're very, very good for you to work like this, programming like this, and they can be very, very helpful. But you don't have to make things into a big deal when you're looking at the public or private or whatever you're going to be changing your variables to. That's going to come first, then const, and then what type you're going to use. Very simple.